So what happened once you were fired and you were no longer in college? Where were you at, state of mind wise, and also just like financially?
I mean, I cashed out a 401k that I had I think like $10,000 in or something. And that was enough for me to live for, I think like 4 months, just like jerking off doing nothing. I think that was when StarCraft 2 came out. And so I started playing that a lot because I was a big StarCraft original player. And then eventually as my 401k started to draw down, I started calling around trying to figure out how to get jobs. But the issue is that I couldn't use my casino experience as like work experience. So I couldn't because I got fired. So I couldn't really get any other job. I'd never taken like a huge pay cut in my life. And eventually my uncle said that he had a friend that worked at a carpet cleaning business and he could recommend me a job there. So I started doing that, which was horrible.
How was
horrible?
Why was it horrible?
One is because I'm pretty sure I was malnourished in my early life. I weighed like 105 pounds. So all the machinery and equipment was way fucking bigger than me. So lifting stuff up and out of the truck was horrible. The types of jobs were really bad for the scheduling. So for instance, I might have one job from 8 to 9, and then I might have one job from like 1 to 2. And both of those jobs are an hour minimum service job. I'm getting paid $16 each. So I might come into the shop to get my truck ready at 7. I'm not getting paid for that. I do my one job from 9 to 10. I go back to the shop. I have nothing to do for a couple hours. Then I do another job from like 1 to 2. That might be like an 8-hour block of time where I'm getting paid like $30. So there's like a lot of dumb shit like that where like my whole day is getting eaten into. So eventually what happened was I started going from between casino jobs. I would go home, I would play StarCraft. I started to get into like streaming because a friend kind of turned me on to it because it was like a new thing at the time. I was like, okay, sure. So I started streaming in between like carpet cleaning jobs. That whole era of my life is really bad because me and my girlfriend at the time we'd bought a house when I like a year earlier, and now I didn't have money to pay for the house.
When you were working at the casino?
Yeah, because I was making a lot of money. But after getting fired from the casino, I started to fall behind on the mortgage, started to fall behind on other bills. I was kind of like stuck in like a hopeless because I'm not going back to school. I'm stuck in a really shitty job, not making enough money for the lifestyle that I had because my pay went from at the casino I'm getting $22.50 an hour for overtime, and now for carpet cleaning I'm working like 13-day stretches because I get like every other Sunday off, and my take-home pay is like $2,000 a month. So I'm getting like completely fucking obliterated.
Were you like in the red then every single month?
It started to hit that point, yeah. And
what did your girlfriend think of the time where you got fired from your job and you're just kind of hanging out at home playing StarCraft 2 while you have bills and mortgages and stuff like that?
Well, she was working at the time, so she didn't know as much. But when she was, it's not like I was not working and playing StarCraft. Like I would only play in the times between jobs because the issue was for carpet cleaning. Like if I'm really lucky, you might get like an 8-hour job, and an 8-hour job you're getting paid $16 an hour. So however much that ends up being. 80 and 40, whatever. I'm working that, and then I go home.
147.
Yeah, so, yeah. I work that job, go home, and then I've got like a whole evening to play games, right? If I'm lucky, I've got like a good 8-hour job. I make like a lot of money. I do that. But if I've got like a lot of jobs scattered throughout the day, then I might be like working like on call basically for like 12 to 16 hours, but I'm only making like $30 or $40, depending on the shit. So like playing StarCraft in between was the only thing I could do, or just sit around at the office doing nothing. Yeah.
And then I'm assuming this was the last job that you had, the carpet cleaning, before you got into streaming full time.
Yeah.
And that was like, did it take off immediately? How was the progression of your streaming career?
I think it probably took about 6 months before people were like, oh, like you can solicit like PayPal donations and stuff. And I started to do that after like 6 or 7 months. I think it was in December or November of 2010 is where I got like my first payout from I originally streamed on a live stream, then Ustream, then a website called Justin TV. And I think they started a partner program for some of the streamers, and I was one of the first people in it. If not the first person, I'm not sure. But I got a paycheck for like $203 or something for like ad revenue.
For a month?
Yeah. But when I got that $203, I looked back and I just did a quick calculation on like how many hours do I stream and then how many hours do I do carpet cleaning. And it's like, if I stream, the dollar per hour I made streaming was about the same as my dollar per hour carpet cleaning. And I was like, fuck carpet cleaning. I was going to stay home and play video games and stream because I'll make about the same money. So fuck it. And then from there, everything started to increase quite a bit. Yeah.
And what changes were you making to grow on Justin TV at the time? Were there certain like metas and different things that you could do? Like,
the streaming didn't really exist yet. The reason why I was able to start early on was because there was a really high technological hurdle because the software was incredibly complicated and streaming was very new. So there weren't even very many people doing it. There were no forums to help with anything, but I was willing to dump a lot of time into figuring out how to make all the stuff work. But like the hardware at the time was not the greatest. I think I was using an E6750 like duo core chip. The software was horrible. We used Flash Media Live Encoder, Camtasia Studio, and a bunch of other things, virtual audio cables to get shit to work. And then the data was insane. I think you were limited to like 300 to 500 kilobits per second for like a stream. So it was very, 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 very hard to get everything working.
How many concurrent viewers would you have at the time?
I probably started with like 5, 6, 7, and then I grew to like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And yeah.
And when you were at 30, 40, 50 is when it actually made sense to be doing that full time.
Yeah, but because I was just making so little money carpet cleaning. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And were you just playing video games at the time, or were you talking about maybe different philosophies and ideas that you have, or was it purely just like gameplay?
It was just video games. Like people watched me because I was really good at trash talk. My background before streaming was a lot of trash talk and a lot of video game playing. Like the whole reason I think why I even got turned on to streaming is because I had a friend recommend it to me. He's like, oh, some people do this. And me and a couple other friends would set up like Tekken or Mario Kart outside the one of the classrooms at high school. And we would be like playing and screaming at each other and talking shit or whatever. And he was like, that was like a funny experience. Like having other people watch that would probably be funny too. So that's basically what got me into it.
Oh, wow.
And then when did it start taking off to the point where it actually started changing your own personal philosophies and ideas on policy to turn you more liberal?
Probably like 3, 4, 5 years.
3, 4, 5 years.
I think it was once my son started to grow and I saw how affected his life was by my finances. That's when I think I started to change my view on things a lot. So like the first year I did streaming full time, I think I managed to make $100,000, but I didn't know anything about.
First year you did full time, you made $100,000.
Yeah, but I didn't know anything about like taxes or whatever, so I wasn't paying any taxes. So my second year I had to deal with that, which was kind of brutal. But I also, the situation I had with my girlfriend at the time, our relationship was very, 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 very bad. So like she would live in my house. She got pregnant as we were breaking up. I say she got pregnant. I got her pregnant. We got pregnant. And then it's not like she did it on her own.
She
yeah,
just did it.
Yeah, she did.
Showed up one day pregnant.
Yeah. So she was living at the house. I was like bouncing between all these other apartments because we couldn't live together without fighting physically with each other. So I'm like bouncing around all these apartments with these weird people I'm trying to live with while I'm also trying to stream at the same time. And then we moved to Poland for 3 months because I was in like some gaming house or whatever. But after I got home, I'd say probably like in 2014, my life started to get a little bit more stable. I started to make more solid, reliable money without having to move around so much. She got like a place to stay. And then when I started to make financial decisions based on my kid, right? So like which school district do I want to be in, what opportunities do I want to have? Then I started to see things a lot differently in terms of like how people's lives are affected by the finances of their parents. That's probably what changed the most.